Do you suffer from the debilitating symptoms of chronic pain, swelling, and loss of joint motion due to arthritis? Are you taking drugs like Celebrex and Vioxx or other super aspirin prescriptions? If you are, you're increasing the risk of heart attack and stroke by up to 50%. This is Dr. Tom Roselle, host of Dr. Tom Roselle Live Sundays at 12 noon. Why live with pain or the dangerous side effects of drugs when the doctors at the Roselle Center for Healing, practicing 21st century integrative medicine, can help you experience relief like never before? Simple, safe, chiropractic, acupuncture, and nutritional care can provide significant relief from arthritic pain in less than 6 weeks. More than 70% of our patients experience a return to life far beyond their expectations. Give yourself the best gift possible, freedom from arthritic pain, naturally. Call today to schedule an appointment. Call 703-698-7117 or visit online at rosellecare.com.
Dr. Tom Roselle Live, right now, on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. I'm definitely live in studio. Give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. It's beautiful outside. Summer's back, at least for a while. The clouds are kind of jeopardous, but nevertheless, you know what? Take it while you can get it, guys, because it is still summertime. We're here to answer all your questions on integrative care. Prevent you've had a problem, you've tried, you've applied, and you come up with the same old, holding out a lot of anything that works. Well, here's an opportunity. Let's figure it out together. Let's talk about what's going on, and we're going to do it from a non-drug, non-surgical point of view. That's why we do the program. That's why we're here every Sunday at 12 o'clock, trying to give you a different approach, trying to empower you, if you will, so you can be the captain of your ship, so you understand that health is a do-it-yourself program. It is a process. It's a process of first understanding that that's true. Secondly, learning what you can do. And that's why we do all the things that we do from this platform, to give you the answers, to give you a different guiding light, if you will. 888-630-9625. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about lots of things. Matter of fact, there's some things out there about fish oils. Many of you have probably already heard about it. We're going to touch on that when we get into the program. It's like fish oils increase the risk of prostate cancer in men. Let me start out by simply saying no. That's not what it's all about. So we have to tweak that a little bit and get you the truth on the subject, and we will do that as the program goes on today. So be assured that there's a lot of fallacy in marketing and advertising and trying to get you to buy a product or stop buying a product because they want to control the market from a different point of view. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the conversation that I want to have with you today on cardiovascular disease and why it takes place in the first place and what you can do about it really, and the different supplementations that might make a difference and some of those that really don't make any difference whatsoever. So, we'll answer those questions and your questions and see if we can put this matrix together in a way that makes total and absolute sense to you, because so many things out there are manipulated. I had an interview with Rick Fowler, many of you know, who does the Saturday morning program, and Rick was asking me questions about, the things that we do and the why we do what we do, and the fact that I've been on the air so many years and why I persist in educating you, simply because I want to empower you. Having said that, I want to talk to you a little bit about what we were talking about with Rick yesterday morning on Saturday's interview, and simply this. Coming up on the 28th of July, 2 weeks from today, exactly 2 weeks from today, you already know about the Ageless Health TV special that PBS put out last fall, right? So, and many of you know that it was nominated for 2 Emmy Awards. So it's a very powerful documentary on integrative healthcare. And it features 6 people who suffered significantly with some very life-threatening and devastating conditions like multiple sclerosis, like seizure patterns and anaphylaxis from allergy reactions, a little boy who suffered very devastating consequences of ADHD, a guy who had migraines and high blood pressure, another lady who was a top master's level tennis player who had a neck, shoulder, arm problem that she couldn't compete any longer. And all of these people, every one of them, failed under traditional care, under traditional allopathic care, and they sought alternative intervention, treatment without drugs, doing things like, nutritional pathways and acupuncture and manipulative techniques and exercise, but they were treated all at one time with all these different things, and the outcome was, guess what? They totally turned around, 100% resolution. And in the case of things like MS and so forth, we want to use the words full remission, so we kind of back away from that terminology of cure or anything of that nature. But nevertheless, these people today, and they've been patients for over 3 years to 10 years, and they've never flared up again. So what's this all about? So we're going to be on the 28th at the Angelica at the Mosaic in Merrifield, Virginia, at 2 p.m., immediately after the radio program, immediately after Dr. Tom Roselle Live, at 2 o'clock. We are going to air that program again. PBS has been very gracious. They've allowed us to take it to you. We can't put it on any other public television stations throughout the country because they still own that venue. But they've released it to us after a little bit of negotiation and allow us to bring it to you. So what does that mean? That means that you're going to get the opportunity to see this whole thing from beginning to end. It's going to be an hour presentation. I'm going to introduce the program. We're going to do the program, and then at the end of it, I will answer any questions that you may have. So it's going to be a great afternoon, and it's not expensive. We're joining up with a foundation called Caring for Others. Many of you know about it. And the tickets are $10. And if you buy 3 of them, you will give them to you for $20. And all the proceeds go to Caring for Others, every last cent of it. So if you'd like to help Caring for Others, but you'd also like to see this documentary, I'd like to find out what it's all about, here's an opportunity. Circle it on your calendar, July 28th, 2 weeks from today, and it's going to be at 2 o'clock. How do you get tickets? Well, you can do it in 2 different ways. You can go to my website at rosellecare.com. That's ROSELLECARE, ROSELLECARE.com, and it'll tell you what to do right there. Or you can call 703-698-7117. That's our office, and do it that way. Or if you want to take the risk that there'll be some seats available, you can do it at the door. You just show up on the 28th, and that'll be that. So we're going to have a great day. We're going to answer all your questions. Come and see this thing. It's amazing. Many of you didn't have the opportunity on PBS locally, and now it's outside the area, but this gives you the opportunity to really see it firsthand, answer the questions that are associated with this presentation, and it's going to be a blockbuster. I promise you it'll be fun, and I'd love to meet you. I'd love to meet many of you who I haven't had the chance to say hey to, and this will be a great day. So let's talk about something. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about cardiovascular disease and anything that you'd like to talk about, but let's talk a little bit about this rampant problem that either debilitates us or kills us. And, there's a lot of steps in maintaining good, solid cardiac function. So we can talk about it from a nutritional point of view. We can talk about it from a biochemical point of view. We can talk about it from an emotional point of view because, stress kills, right? Stress will put your heart in a real bad place. But neurologically, when we look at the organ, the heart, this pump that kind of pushes all the blood through your body, well, it has to have a source of operation, and it has actually 3 sources of operation. The one that we think of is the pacemaker, that intrinsic firing mechanism within the heart. And when your heart misfires and it gets too fast or gets too slow, then they want to regulate that thing. But they're missing 2 other pieces. One is a nerve called the vagus nerve, which is a cranial nerve, and another one are the parasympathetic or the splanchnic nerves that come off the thoracic spine. That's the area where you have all the ribs coming off, the upper back. And there's nerves that come from there that go to the heart as well. Interesting, just to kind of give you an understanding of how this mechanism works. The pacemakers, these little things within the heart, keep the rhythm. But these other guys have sensory activity. They also have motor function, and they keep things, running smoothly as well. Matter of fact, if you ever had a heart transplant, and they cut all these other nerves away and they put a new heart back in, the only thing that's operational at that point is the pacemaker. And the only sign that you would ever have that you had a heart attack, again, is that you dropped dead. That would be it, because you have no sensory input at that level, so they have to measure it a different way. So we do everything we can. We scramble to try to put the pieces in place to protect ourselves, and it's big business. It's big pharma. I mean, they're trying to get you to do everything from blood thinners to statins to aspirin, you name it. This is what they're coming after you with because they're going to tell you that you're going to die. And, well, the choice is, do we take the drugs or do we learn about less offensive ways of correcting and taking care of and strengthening this cardiovascular mechanism, this machine that's inside our chest that keeps us alive? And it has an energetic to it, and it has a rhythm to it, and it has a life-giving capacity that is what this is all about. And it says it's going to plaque up, it's going to plaque. Well, let me tell you something about a friend, okay? A friend of mine, a doctor up in New England, about 6 years ago, this guy has tremendous capacity, not only as a physician, but an athlete. This guy's diet is clean. This man has every marker that has to do with cardiovascular disease, even keel. So what happens to this man? I mean, he goes out and runs, and his biggest habit is once a week he has a drink or a glass of wine, but other than that, his diet is impeccable. A lot of stress, you bet. He pushes like I do. He's a crazy man. And so one day, in the midst of, an amorous relationship with his wife, the guy has a heart attack. And fortunately, they got him on the table within an hour because his neighbor next door was the man who had invented a new stent procedure and saved his life. When they got in and they checked out the cardiovascular system, there was no plaquing, nothing. It was better than a baby's new blood system. There wasn't evidence of anything. So how did the man have a heart attack? And it was the left anterior descending coronary artery. It's called the widowmaker. I mean, he was on his last leg. Here's the deal. It collapsed. It didn't explode. It didn't break. It didn't clog. It collapsed. So it stopped the blood flow. Why does it collapse? Well, interestingly enough, 3-4 years after he recovered from this, he has a right-sided stroke. How does that happen? This guy's supposed to be in great shape, right? Well, it wasn't a stroke of plaque. It wasn't a stroke of rupture. It was a stroke of collapse. Now, you got your head up there and say, okay, what's this all about? Well, what they found out with this guy is that he had a hole in his heart. He had a patent ovales. It means an open hole in the lower chambers of the heart, the ventricles, that they didn't pick up. Most of these things are picked up when they're, kids are very, very young, and they fix them today. And they missed this on this guy because he apparently, didn't have anything worth looking at then. He was strong, athletic, great shape, phenomenal, human being. But this happened to him. Well, it's been fixed, so he'll never have a problem again. But the point of it is, and what I'm trying to bring about to you, is that it ain't all about always that the heart is being clogged up by plaque. It's not about the things that they tell you it is and all these drugs that they're throwing at you. It's often about the neurology of the body, misfiring, the areas of your upper back, the nerves being irritated in a way that the communication to the muscle, the heart, isn't working. The vagus nerve, many people who have had injury to their skulls and their upper neck cause the vagus nerve to misfire. So that can be one of the things that causes it. And now we have an arrhythmic situation, or a heart that can't sustain itself as it gets into more neuromuscular compromise. So there's ways of fixing that. That's what happens when you go to a good chiropractor, a good osteopath, and they understand manipulative modes. They can make sure that those nerves are working well. There's other pieces. What are those other pieces? There's the energetics. There's the acupuncture system. The acupuncture system, one of the channels, one of the 12 primary channels, has to do with the heart. And if that system, if that heart meridian, that heart channel, isn't balanced properly, you have a problem. And what does that lead into? That leads into the small intestine because they're yin and yang. They're positive and negative to each other, so you can have a bad intestinal tract causing a cardiac problem. Now, I'm going to put all those together for you, and we're going to talk about nutritional supports, if they're necessary, they're not necessary. And we're going to do that after we come back from a break because we have to stop and pay attention to those people who bring Dr. Tom Roselle live to you. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Did you know that routine mammograms can increase radiation exposure to breast tissue 1,000 times over a chest X-ray? Now consider a simple, non-invasive, and totally safe medical procedure approved by the FDA since 1982 that can detect breast cancer 5 to 8 years before it can be visualized on a mammogram. Infrared thermographic imaging can accurately detect the initial signs of breast cancer as increased blood supply and metabolic rate, which is recorded as heat. Why expose yourself to radiation when accurate and safe medical detection is available? Call the Thermography Center of Fairfax to schedule a breast exam today at 703-948-7248. That's 703-943-7248. For more information, visit www.thermographyscan.net. That's thermographyscan.net for the Thermography Center of Fairfax.
The Roselle Center for Healing is a proud supporter of breast cancer awareness and reminds you to conduct a monthly breast self-examination and a thermographic breast scan as part of your annual wellness checkup.
This is Dr. Tom Roselle. After 35 years of practice and almost 750,000 patient visits, the Roselle Center for Healing knows what works and knows how you can take control of your health and wellness. My team of doctors practice 21st century integrative medicine. Whether you suffer from chronic pain and fatigue, allergies, or headaches, we can help. Take charge of your health before it's too late. Make an appointment today. Call 703-698-7117 or visit online at rosellecare.com. This is Dr. Tom Roselle, author of Ageless Health. Health is a do-it-yourself program. My book, now also available in audio version, is a step-by-step program of how to take control of your health and wellness without drugs or needless surgery. You have the capacity to change your health and level of well-being. Take control of your health today and order Health is a do-it-yourself program.
For more information and to order, please visit agelesshealthbook.com. That's agelesshealthbook.com.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I'm in studio. Love to talk to you. 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. Let's talk. Let's talk about anything that you'd like to talk about. More importantly, we're going to talk about cardiovascular disease, but I also want you to go to our Facebook. Go to Roselle Center for Healing on Facebook, and I'm going to post all that information on fish oils and how it relates to prostate problems that the drug companies want to think that is a problem. And we're going to talk about in the second half of the program and tell you about this news that just came out this last week. They're trying to blame excess consumption of fish oils to prostate cancer in men, and it's such a bogus report that you have no idea how they manipulate facts. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a tidbit, then we're going to post it, and we're going to talk about it again. But right now we're talking about cardiovascular disease. And you know, that's your main pump. That's your stay alive organ system. If that's not working, you drop dead, and you know everybody's going to die of something, but you don't want to die too soon. So here's the deal. You know, when we look at cardiovascular risk, we look at everything from genetics to environment to food to stress to structure and so forth. You know, if you're a slug, if you're overweight, if you eat junk and you know it, guess what? Your cardiovascular risk and your risk for stroke is much higher than somebody else's. I mean, take a look. Don't delude yourself. You know, do you eat a lot of vegetables or do you eat a lot of carbohydrates? I mean, you know, the starchy stuff. Does that go into your diet? You know, do you have a problem with sugars and sweets? Well, do an experiment. Go to the stove today, get a small saucepan, put a half a cup of white sugar in a saucepan, and gently turn the flame on, very, very low, very, very low, and then just kind of move the sugar around a little bit. And what happens? It turns into a very ugly fat. See, that's what it does to your body when your body can't get rid of the extra glucose, sugar. It stores it, and you store it at this deadly type of fat that clogs arteries. Same thing happens with carbohydrates. Your body needs mineralization. Where does that come from? Vegetables. So if you don't think vegetables are really good for you, you know, you don't like broccoli, you don't like asparagus, you don't like great, beautiful salads with all kinds of color in them, and you don't eat a lot of them on a day-to-day basis, well, you're increasing your risk of cardiovascular. If you like a bag of chips and a soda, if you eat things that have a lot of saturated fats, if you eat things that have says no fat or no sugar added, those are all chemistries. That's a witch's brew of junk that's going to clog your arteries. So you do the math, you figure it out, see what your risk level is. But let's talk about what you should be asking your doctor for. You go to your doctor's office and he runs a cholesterol, total cholesterol, and he runs an HDL and an LDL and maybe a triglyceride. And what he's running, HDL is supposed to be the good guys, and LDLs are supposed to be the bad guys. Well, that's not the whole story. I mean, you need to know much more than that. You need to know your inflammatory pathways. You need to know your markers that indicate whether your arteries are inflamed. So coronary C-reactive protein is one, A1C hemoglobin is another. There's homocysteine levels that can be measured. There's fibrinogen, which is scarring within the vessels themselves, which will accumulate any fat that you have. And when they do the HDLs and the LDLs, particularly the LDLs, and by the way, these are proteins, they're really not fats. Ask your doctor, how much of my LDLs are the really bad LDLs or the really, not so bad LDLs. What do I mean like that? Well, there's something called apolipoproteins A and B, and that distinguishes good guys from the bad guys of the total package of bad guys. So you can have really, really bad guys, or you can have minimally bad guys. So do you know that number? Do you know what that really means? Do you know that the ratio between homocysteine and triglyceride, there's actually a ratio that very few doctors use, but there's another one that's easily calculated, and that's your HDL with your triglycerides. Divide your HDL number into your triglyceride, and it should be 1.5 to 1 or less. If it's 1.5 to 1 or less, your plaquing is at a very low risk level. If it is above that, and proportionally above that, you increase your risk of plaquing. If you have high inflammatory markers with even normal fat levels, you're still going to plaque because that's how your body responds to the devastation of inflammation, which is acid, and it's going to burn your arteries, and it's going to destroy tissue. Now, when we come back after the news, we're going to talk about very specific procedures and very specific nutrients that help support these things, but they're individualistic. They're not a broad brush. Go take this statin and call me next week. Take 81 milligrams of aspirin, and that'll solve your problems. Because what happens is that they actually make things far worse for you than they do make better. And you need to understand that. You need to be smarter than the doctors that you're going to. You need to be far more informed because it's your life. And it's not theirs. We don't even look at the people who are above 65 in Medicare relative to dying from all this stuff because you're old, you're going to die anyway. Don't go away. We're going to talk about all these things and much more when we come back after the news and some incredibly important information. And I will remind you again of Ageless Health coming up. Don't go away. Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. I'm in studio, 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. Talking about a lot of different things. Cardiovascular disease is kind of the pivotal topic here, but that can go off in a lot of different ways. And also, again, we'd like to remind you, on the 28th of July, 2 p.m., right after this radio program, that's 2 weeks from this Sunday, 2 weeks from today, we're going to be at the Angelica Film Center at the Mosaic in Maryfield, Virginia. Why? Because we have been blessed to be able to release to you publicly the Ageless Health PBS TV special. It was nominated for 2 Emmy Awards, and it's a hard-hitting documentary on what can be done through integrative healthcare. Love to have you there. It's going to be a very inexpensive afternoon. $10 is all. Or if you want to buy 3 tickets for you and your friends, then what you do with that is you only pay $20. And how do you get that done? You go to our website. You go to RoselleCare, RoselleCare.com, or you go to, you can go to drtomroselle.com too, but you can also call the office at 703-698-7117. That's 703-698-7117. And register or take your chances and register at the door. So it's $10 for one and 3 for $20, and all proceeds, every last penny, goes to caring for others. Let's go to the phones. Charlie, thank you for calling. How can I help you, sir?
Dr. Roselle, great show. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My question is about 2 herbal supplements. I take milk thistle, 175 milligram capsule to help detoxify, help the liver.
Right.
And the other one is a horse chestnut with butcher's broom. The horse chestnut has 257 milligrams, and butcher broom 100 milligrams. I do that to help my varicose vein situation. And my question is this. Is it okay to continuously take one of these each day, year in and year out, or should you give the body a break every now and then?
No, any herbal supplementation, first it's a food, second it's medicine, and you never want to take anything long term because even herbal preparations have side effects. And you have to be careful when they're in combination because they can enhance their own side effects. They're great things. In our office, when we use an herbal preparation, we do it for a very specific period of time. For example, if you have, similar hemorrhoids, which are varicose veins, we use stone root or collinsonia as well as butcher's broom and some other things of that nature. But it depends on the patient, and we only give it for a certain period of time. If it hasn't resolved itself at that point, there's something else. And you have to fix that something else, otherwise the condition's never going to go away. So you have to look at things from, remember that every tissue in the body has nerves, every tissue has an acupuncture circuit, every tissue has blood supply. You have, injury that can take place, and injury can be subtle from a back problem where the nerves that go to that area are affected, and subsequently you don't have the muscular contraction. Or weightlifters, guys who do heavy powered lifting over a period of years. I played ball through college, and I wrestled, and I did martial arts for a lot of years, and unfortunately suffered the consequences of some of the things that we're talking about. And you have to treat them properly, and then they begin to resolve. But to answer your question, no, I wouldn't advise you to take any herbal preparation long term. Yes, they do have side effects, and you really need to touch bases with somebody who knows the herbal preparations, knows you, and can say, hey, listen, this isn't cutting it. Let's see what else we can do. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Is there sort of a general rule, like as far as how long you should take them before you stop, like 3 months or? I
wouldn't use any herbal preparation, and I would encourage you to use single herbs, not combination of herbs, more than about 30 days to maximum 6 weeks to get off of them for a couple of weeks, and then see what happens after that.
Oh, if you get off a couple of weeks, then you can get back on again?
You can try it that way. But again, the rule of thumb, Charlie, is simply this. If it's not working to clear the problem up, then there's something else that's causing the problem, and you always want to ask the question, why is the problem there to begin with, and try to go after that. So, if get online with me, drtomroselle.com, send me a note, and I'll give you a little bit more direction. There are things
even in a low dose, it's not good to do then?
No, not at all. And it's even like food. Any good food for you should be rotated. If you eat the same thing every day, you're going to develop an IgA allergic response. That's your first line of defense. It's a mucus secretion antibody that will start going into alarm state. And that alarm state is because now your body's identifying something that's really good for you as something that's not good for you, and it acts the same way as if you were putting a poison in your system. So you need to rotate your foods. You need to, not stay on the same herbs continually. It's something that doesn't work. Charlie, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Tom, how can I help you?
Yeah, Doctor, I was wondering if there's any benefit to this virtual physical exam that there's some, I guess these radiology companies are selling. Is that worth doing?
Well, let me put it to you this way, okay? There's the good news and there's the bad news. The virtual physicals will show up a lot of things. And they show the plaquing, and they show degenerative changes, and they show all kinds of pathology that you may not find otherwise. The bad news is that it's a CAT scan, and CAT scans put out more radiation than any other form of X-ray that exists. It's not like an MRI. It is absolute X-ray, and it's significant, and the body holds on to the radiation. So for my money, there is no way that I would do a virtual exam unless I had significant symptomological representation. There are many other ways of determining risk levels of where you are with your health, from doing the right type of blood work, incorporating things like thermographic imaging, which will show cardiovascular problems, in other places. They will show potential of increased circulation in different areas. But ultrasound, you can do carotid ultrasounds, and you can do abdominal ultrasounds, and it goes on. You look at the patient's history. You look at their dietary patterns. You look at their exercise levels. You put them on a treadmill to see what happens at maximum cardiovascular output. So unless you have a problem that you or your doctor really suspect exists and you want to pinpoint it, I wouldn't even consider a CAT scan. My opinion, you wouldn't get me into one of those tubes, but we all differ in our opinions. Tom, thank you for calling. Thank you for the question. I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth the X-ray exposure. I'm one of these guys, Tom, that when I go to airports, if they have the low radiation X-ray to screen you through the security lines, I opt out. I always get patted down. There's no way that I'm exposing myself because the amount of flying that I do. I'm saying, no, it ain't going to happen. Same thing with cell phones. We're all on cell phones. I have something called a Q-Link tag, a bug on my cell phone to at least begin to break up the electromagnetic interference to my brain. I'm not willing to expose myself to that. But when you're talking about CAT scans, look it up, man. The CAT scans have a tremendous amount of radiation and subsequently damage to your body. 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-9625. Love to talk to you on any subject you have in mind. We're talking about cardiovascular disease and anything else that you'd like to know about, from CAT scans to anything else that could be there. So when you have a potential for cardiac disease, how do you know? How do you prevent it? What do you do to help yourself? If you've noticed, the laboratory levels of what's a normal cholesterol have gotten less and less and less over the years. When I was in school, as my son would say, back when the dinosaurs walked the earth, a normal cholesterol level was 225. And the risk and the levels of cardiovascular disease were much lower then than they are today, with the levels at 200 actually less. A lot of laboratories are saying 199. So why was it better at 225 and now we have all this craziness at 199? Well, the problem is that the drug companies are in charge of putting the data out. They're doing the research. That's like the fox in the hen house. And they have a reason to do that. They want to sell you statins. And statins don't work. And there's a lot of other natural ways of handling that problem. Yes, statins don't work. You heard me. Will they lower cholesterol? Absolutely. They bring cholesterol down. There's no doubt about their ability to lower the cholesterol. But they have tremendous amount of side effects. And they don't really change the risk level of first-time heart attack. You've heard me quote a study on New England Journal of Medicine. It was one of the best ones out there. They did over 1,000 guys and studied them for 5 years, and their conclusion was simply this: you have to treat 100 men with a statin for 5 years to prevent one heart attack. One. It's not worth it. The side effects are significant. Muscular pain, increased risk of liver damage, certain types of cardiovascular problems that you're trying to prevent, fatigue, ache, pain. Is that worth it to you? Not to me. Not when there's other things out there. How about if you start taking something as simple as magnesium, which relaxes vessels? It takes the stress out of it. How about something as significant as fish oils, which we're going to talk about in a second, by the way, and really understand that they dramatically lower inflammatory pathways within the body faster than anything else. Methyl pathways. Methylation is the body's reaction to stress causing problems of degeneration within the system. You should have things in your body like, B12, but not the cheap forms of B12. You either want a methyl form or you want a hydroxy form. And you want it balanced with enough folic acid. The ratio, 5 parts folic acid, 2 parts B12. Has to be in that level. You want to put things in like B6. You want to put things into the system that will begin to break down the inflammatory risk that your body's going through, subsequently lowering your risk of plaquing. It's important. Even P5P now has been shown to decrease the risk, and also riboflavin 5-phosphate also in addition to that. It will begin to alter the homocysteine reaction and increase metabolism. B6, B12, folic acid, vitamin E, vitamin C. Oh, my God, vitamin C. Yeah, vitamin C. You remember about 3 years ago they said don't take vitamin C because it hardens your arteries and it makes things worse. Well, what it actually did was toughen the arteries so you don't blow like a flat tire. You're going to blow out the side so you don't blow a hole in it. Yeah, it toughens it up. It toughens the musculature, and the magnesium relaxes the arteries. So just with those two things, and if you get yourself outside and you walk 2 miles every day, just 2 miles, will decrease your risk of dying from any disease process, no matter what it is, by 50%. That's huge. Go walk. Get out and change your diet. If you walk, you change your diet, you set in meditation or prayer every day, just for a little short period of time, everything begins to change. When you have those options that are sitting there available to you, when you have the capacity to shift almost anything, why wouldn't you do that? Arginine is a nitric oxide producer in the body, and that's important because it also helps blood flow. It increases the increased perfusion, to different tissues, but particularly to the heart and the heart muscles. So, you need to have certain things in your diet, but if you refuse to do that, then look at L-arginine. How much? About 1,000 milligrams a day. You're not going to get in trouble. Take it at nighttime. It will dramatically increase the perfusion rates within the system. Niacin also helps. Niacin will decrease your cholesterol. How much? Use it as a time release, because otherwise you're going to get really, really hot. Ladies, those of you who've gone through menopause, you know what really, really hot means. So guys, maybe it should be a good experience. Go take some. No, it should be time release. Take it with your food and you won't experience that. So something like a Niavask or other time release, 500 milligrams a day should be ample. So you take a little bit of arginine, you take a little bit of niacin, and you add some of these other things that we're talking about. Coenzyme Q10 should be at least 100 to 150 milligrams a day. Guess what? You're protecting your heart better than anything else. And fish oils, up to 2,000 units a day. We're going to be right back after some very important information, and I'm going to kind of tie a few of these things together for you. So don't go away. Stay tuned, and, I'll incite you some more. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. After 35 years of practice and almost 750,000 patient visits, the Roselle Center for Healing knows what works and knows how you can take control of your health and wellness. My team of doctors practice 21st century integrative medicine. Whether you suffer from chronic pain and fatigue, allergies, or headaches, we can help. Take charge of your health before it's too late. Make an appointment today. Call 703-698-7117 or visit online at rosellecare.com. This is Dr. Tom Roselle, author of Ageless Health. Health is a do-it-yourself program. My book, now also available in audio version, is a step-by-step program of how to take control of your health and wellness without drugs or needless surgery. You have the capacity to change your health and level of well-being. Take control of your health today and order Health is a do-it-yourself program.
For more information and to order, please visit agelesshealthbook.com. That's agelesshealthbook.com.
If you're looking for the best in natural health, wellness, and green living products, shop the Roselle web store on Amazon.com. You'll find a variety of products and resources that are designed to help achieve an ultimate state of health and wellness. Shop the Roselle web store on Amazon.com today. Visit drtomroselle.com and click on Roselle web store. That's drtomroselle.com and click on Roselle web store.
Educate, engage, empower. Take control of your health with Dr. Tom Roselle and the Roselle Center for Healing. Information is power. Achieve an ultimate state of wellness with Dr. Tom Roselle's Education Lecture Series video on demand. Discover how to create an extraordinary life of optimal health and wellness. Visit drtomroselle.com/education. That's drtomroselle.com/education.
Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle live, right here, right now, every Sunday, 12 noon, bringing you the most intimate and provocative information on integrative healthcare. Because I love you and I want you to understand that health is a do-it-yourself program. I want you to be smarter than all of your docs. I want you to get out there and do your homework, study this stuff, and then ask me the questions. You can go to drtomroselle.com. and send me a note. You can go to rosellecare.com, and they go back and forth. You can go to one website over the other, and stay in touch with me. I'll be more than happy to answer any and all of your questions. Let's go to the phones one more time. We've got a few more of you sitting there, but I want to take Diana. Diana, thank you for calling. How can I help you?
Yes, I had an ablation done about 6 years ago, and I was on Topril, 50 milligrams, for quite some time, and my doctor took me off that. I also have edema in my legs. I picked up on the intestines as you were talking earlier. I just got out of the hospital a few days ago with colitis.
Yep.
And I didn't know there was a correlation between the intestines and the heart.
Yeah.
While I was in the hospital, they told me I still have an irregular heartbeat, which surprised me.
Well, let me answer your question quickly because we don't have a lot of time left in the program. So here's the deal. Yes, the heart and the small intestine work together, and that they're yin and yang in Chinese acupuncture. They're opposites. So one's going to affect the other. So if you have a bad intestinal system, ultimately you're going to have a bad heart. You're going to increase your inflammatory reaction and so forth. The regulatory pathway, the beat regulation of the heart, has to do not only with the heart itself with the pacemakers, but also with those other things we talked about initially with acupuncture circuits, with the nerves that come from the upper back, with the nerves that come from the upper portion of the neck, the cranial nerve, the vagus nerve. So any of those things can be a problem. And time after time, we see patients who've had problems like yours that have had ablations done, and they still end up with the same problem, whether it's 4 months, 6 months, 10 years later, it comes back. It's because the underlying problem hasn't been satisfied. Magnesium at very high levels with potassium balance will often take care of that. Now, having said that, we don't have a lot of time to get into it, but with a colitis type of condition, with any type of celiac problem, that's telling you that your intestinal system's not working, and that all by itself can be part of the problem. Fast things that you can do is eliminate any kind of gluten from your diet whatsoever, and see if that makes a difference. So you can start eliminating things one at a time. Increase your green vegetables, juice them, and decrease any kind of fried foods or sugars and so forth, and you get rid of anything that's a stimulant, coffees and black teas. My mantra: sugar, sodas, coffee, fast foods, fried foods, alcohol, gluten, additives, preservatives, and so forth. Those things are all going to cause problems. Diane, I wish we can get into this more in depth. We're coming up to the end of the program, but get a hold of me at drtomroselle.com, and I'll go back and forth with you. But you can fix this. This is not something that you have to live with. We're here every Sunday, and I try to get you to a place where you think, this is what happens. These things come back. Or the medications, the drugs that you're taking, or the procedures you went through have their own side effects, and they prolong the condition. Not something that you want to have to live with. Don't forget the 28th at the Angelica. Get on our website and register today, and we'll see you there, and I'll be more than happy to bring you more information next week. See you later. Bye.
Are you dental phobic? Do you neglect your dental health because of fear and anxiety? A beautiful smile begins with exceptional dental care, and you can trust in the expertise of Soft Touch Dental Care and Dr. Michael Chung. Soft Touch Dental Care is unlike any dentist office you'll ever experience. Their warm and welcoming environment is designed to soothe fears and anxiety the moment you arrive, and they're especially pleased to pamper their honored guest patients. Dr. Michael Chung is a professional and leading expert in all areas of comprehensive dentistry, including cosmetic, sedation, neuromuscular, TMJ, and implant dentistry. Offering state-of-the-art technology, Dr. Chung can give you the smile of your dreams. Arrange for a complimentary consultation today with Dr. Michael Chung and experience the expertise that makes Dr. Michael Chung so unique. Call 703-319-6990. That's 703-319-6990. Or visit bestinsmile.com. That's bestinsmile.com.